Deep in a peaceful green forest where the sunlight poured down like soft cotton candy, there lived a very playful fox. Fox loved to run through the fields, his shiny brown fur glistening and his bushy tail swishing back and forth. Oh, on a beautiful day like today, it would be wonderful to invite someone over for a delicious meal. Fox hummed to himself, but in a corner of his heart, a tiny bit of mischief began to tickle. He decided to play a trick on his friend Stork, who had the longest beak in the whole forest. When Fox returned home, he began to cook a soup that smelled absolutely wonderful in his kitchen. Bubble, bubble, sizzle, sizzle. It was a hearty soup filled with savory beans and sweet, golden pumpkins. Hey, Stork has such a long beak, doesn't he? I wonder how he will eat this soup from these very flat plates. Fox chuckled as he pulled out 2 large, shallow, and completely flat plates. He pretended to cook with great care, but inside, he was giggling at the thought of Stork looking confused. Soon, a polite knock, knock, knock echoed through the house, and Stork arrived at Fox's door. "Welcome, Stork. I have prepared a very special soup just for you," Fox said, wagging his tail. Stork walked in gracefully on his long, elegant legs and replied, "Thank you for the invitation, Fox." The delicious aroma reached all the way to the edge of the forest. Stork sat down at the table with a heart full of expectation, believing his friend had worked hard to prepare a meal. Fox glanced at Stork's long beak and tried his best to hide a smirk. Fox placed 2 very flat and shallow plates on the table. Then he poured the freshly cooked soup until it almost spilled over the edges. "Go on, eat before it gets cold," Fox said. As soon as he finished speaking, he began to lap up the soup with his nimble tongue. Slurp, lap, slurp. My soup is simply the best." Fox emptied his plate in an instant, not paying any attention at all to how Stork was doing. However, Stork was in a very difficult position. His beak was thin and very, very long. Stork tried to dip his beak into the plate, but only the very tip of his hard beak touched the soup. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't drink a single drop. Poor, hungry Stork could only watch as Fox finished all of his soup. "Fox, I'm sorry, but it's a little hard for me to eat this soup," Stork said quietly. Fox just laughed it off, saying, "Oh dear, is it not to your taste? What a shame. I am so full." "Stork, I guess you weren't very hungry today?" Fox said, patting his belly and acting innocent. Stork prepared to leave Fox's house with an empty stomach. He could have been very angry at Fox's mean attitude, but he stayed calm and gathered his thoughts. "Thank you for the meal, Fox. Next time, please come to my house, and I will treat you to something delicious." Stork offered a polite goodbye, but as he walked away, his back looked a little lonely. On the way home, Stork's stomach let out a loud rumble. He was upset by Fox's prank, but instead of getting angry, he thought of a wise plan. "Fox needs to understand what it feels like to be in someone else's shoes," Stork thought. He walked along the riverbank as the soft moonlight shimmered on the water, planning his invitation for tomorrow. Stork's eyes sparkled with wisdom. Looking at his long beak reflected in the river, he smiled quietly to himself. The next day, Stork invited Fox to his home. Stork's house was under a cool, leafy tree by the river. He prepared a magnificent meat dish for Fox, and the savory scent wafted far into the forest. However, the containers Stork brought out were very different from Fox's plates. They were tall, narrow vases, with very long necks and slim openings. Stork filled the tall vases with the delicious, steaming food. Fox was extremely hungry because he remembered the soup from yesterday. "Stork, I'm here. Wow, that smell is incredible," Fox shouted as he ran toward Stork's house. "Welcome, Fox. Since you treated me yesterday, I have prepared this for you today. Please, have a seat," Stork said warmly. Fox tilted his head when he saw the long vases on the table. But he was so hungry that he couldn't think of anything else. He swallowed hard and sat down. "Well, let's eat," Stork said as he tucked his long beak deep into the tall vase. He began to pick out the delicious pieces of meat with ease. This is so savory and wonderful. Food really tastes best when eaten from a vase like this. Using his long beak, Stork enjoyed every bit of the food, even the pieces at the very bottom. Just as Fox had done the day before, Stork continued his meal with great relish, all by himself. Fox was completely stuck. The neck of the vase was so narrow that his face wouldn't fit inside at all. He tried sticking his tongue out as far as it would go, and he even tried licking the rim of the vase, but it was no use. He could smell the delicious food, but he couldn't taste a single bite. Hungry and tired, Fox could only watch Stork eat. In that moment, Fox finally realized how Stork must have felt the day before. "Oh, I made a big mistake with Stork yesterday," Fox thought, and his face turned bright red with shame. Seeing that Fox had learned his lesson, Stork smiled kindly. Stork put the food in a wide, concave bowl for Fox so he could eat easily. They sat side by side, laughing and chatting as they finished their delicious meal together. From that day on, whenever they did something, they would first ask themselves, "Would my friend be comfortable with this?" They became the best of friends in the entire forest. For a long time, the happy laughter of the two friends echoed through the woods.